Welcome, it's the Fanzone show. I'm Phil. Welcome to everybody who's watching live, and if you're watching this on playback, join us live if you want to get your views and comments in every Monday 7:30 till 8. We've been doing this for years and years now. We want your views, I want your comments, and I want to know what you think. Now we've had the first 3 games, we're already at a boring old international break, but maybe it's a good chance. Maybe it's time for Cooper to get hold of some of these new players, look at what's been going on, and see if he can gel that team very, very quickly into something that's going to start turning what I think has been some okay performances into some points. Now, not everybody agrees with me, so I want your views, I want your comments. How are you feeling after 3 games? Are you feeling like there is light at the end of the tunnel, or are you like, I've seen some fans, a few fans, saying it's not good enough, and even stuff like get rid of Cooper. Believe it or not, after 3 games, yes, already. So join us now for the next 30 minutes in tonight's Fanzone show.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.
Yes, good evening, welcome. My name's Phil. We're going to chat the next 30 minutes, all things Leicester City. Don't forget, we get your comments in, all your views. The socials are there as ever. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV. And we are doing some bits and bobs on Patreon now. You can, in fact, win yourselves a signed Harry Winks shirt if you go over to the Patreon channel and subscribe. It helps us out. It helps us grow. So if you fancy doing that, thank you for everybody who's already popped over there and started following us and subscribing to us on there. Now, listen, Cooper, I think it's been okay. We're going to chat about it. I've got Tom coming on, who's normally the voice of reason. I've got Locks, who me and Locks have had an ongoing WhatsAppy-like messenger debate today where it's like, right, let's just have it out tonight live in front of everybody. So we'll see where that one goes because we're at very different opposite ends of the spectrum. Get your comments in as ever. Craig says, hi, everybody. We need to start attacking from the start. I think that's what Locks is going to come on and say. He wants to see more of that, which is fine. But I'm a bit more like Nelsby54G. Sort your username out, mate. But anyway, he says, we played well. No need to panic. That's sort of how I agree. I think we've had 3 games. Tough. We played 5th place from last year, Spurs, and got a point. Fulham away, they're an okay. They've been around the Premier League. It wasn't the best performance, and of course the result didn't really go our way. And Villa, well, they finished 4th. They're Champions League Villa, so you can't knock them. And we almost got a point. Almost ain't good enough, some fans will say. For me, I've been I'm seeing signs of positivity there. Scott again says maybe he'll realise Mavididi should start in the break. Maybe he will. Mark says still doesn't know his best side yet, does he? Question mark. I don't think he does. I think you're quite right. He's had pre-season. He's signed, 5, 6, 7 players. We were signing players on Thursday. We were signing players on Friday. I think the international break is perfect time for him to get hold of who's who and what's what. They're still probably learning each other's names. I don't know. If you've ever played in a football team, it's like, who's that guy who's playing on the wing for us today? And it's like, well, yeah, we've got to work out how does he play, what's he want. And Mark then goes on to say, I don't think he got all the players he wanted. I don't think Steve Cooper has that much say in who he gets, to be fair with you. Richie, good evening, says, we were robbed by Aston Villa on Saturday. I wouldn't go that far, Richie, to say we were robbed. I thought we deserved a draw. I thought a 2-2 draw. I don't think many Villa fans would have walked away from that going, actually, that wasn't deserved by Leicester. But I don't think we were robbed. I thought the ref was woeful. We'll come on to him. And Diddy needs dropping for next game for either of the 2 young lads. Again, you're probably right. It probably was a little bit defensive on Saturday, but you know, I thought Skip had a good game, by the way. What do you think to Skip? Thought he looked good. Good evening, Dave. Hope you're well. Andy, hope you're well as well. Andy says, we've been playing okay, but always only start playing when we go behind. Andy, you could say that for the last 30, 40 years of watching Leicester. It's always been the same. It doesn't often change. Kanai says we need to calm down. We've played a top 5 team, Fulham away, which even Premier League teams struggle there, and a Champions League team. Can't really judge yet until we play a team around our level. We've got Palace away, but don't forget they finished 10th last year, Palace. So it won't be a pushover. And then we've got Everton. That's probably when you play Everton at home, because they look like they're having a stinker again. It's going to be interesting to see how we do against them. Owen says, agree with Craig. It's better than expected, but need to attack earlier than the second half. Auntie Karen, hope you're well. Agree things have not gone too well. I'm not a huge fan of Steve Cooper, but give him a bit more. 70s time machine. Oh, Karen, you've lost me. Honestly, it's easily done what I'm lost on the last comment, but let me know what you're on about. Terry says, it's been okay. Some shoots of hope. Terry, I agree. But listen, I'm going to get Tom and Locks in. Keep your comments coming in. I'm going to add them both in together. Here's Tom. Good evening, Tom.
Evening, mate. You're right.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Feeling positive.
And there's Locks. Now, Tom, you can almost... I think, Tom, you're in the middle of why me and Locks are. Perhaps I'm being a bit too positive, but Locks, Locks, explain how you feel about the start. Because effectively, without putting words in your mouth, today in our chat, you were saying, I'm done. Cooper can go.
No. I said if he loses both Palace and Everton, I'm done. I'm not saying Steve Cooper out, mate. Your question about what I think to the start, I'm guessing you meant the start of the season.
Yes.
I've been very impressed by the players. I think they're giving absolutely everything. There's not really anyone, probably Samari's little cameo against Spurs. There's not really anyone that I've looked at and thought, they're not giving their all. The problem I think so far has been the manager. That is who I look at as making the mistakes so far this season. Now, for the first 2 games, Steve Cooper actually admitted that he made a mistake and that he set the team up wrong. He said that he set us up wrong in the first half, and he said against Spurs, and he also said something similar after Fulham. And Villa, in my opinion, mate, I mean, you know what my thoughts were before kickoff when I was going mad, and a lot of people were. It weren't just me, about how we playing 3 defensive-minded midfielders in a home game. And I mean, mate, I was told that Steve Cooper was this, proactive manager. I mean, all I've seen so far is reactive substitutions. He's only made changes when we've conceded a goal every time, and we've conceded the first goal. And again, just referring to something you mentioned before you brought me and Tom on about, this is all I keep hearing now, mate. It was a close game. It was a close game. Close games don't win you points, mate. I'm sorry, they don't. They really don't. And considering we did set up with 3 defensive midfielders, we still conceded 2 goals. So, yeah, mate, I feel like this season so far it has just been close. Yeah, it's close. Yeah, we're staying in games. It's close. But it doesn't get you points, mate.
Tom, obviously I'm going to come to you and hear what your views are. Again, my quick reaction back to Locks there is we are not the Leicester City side that we were just 2 years ago, when that year we got relegated. We are back to square one. We're back, for me, to 2014. The team is not as good by a country mile as most Premier League sides. So I think to expect us to be, beating a Villa side who are 4th is a massive ask. I think it's tough. And I thought, Tom, we were competitive in all 3 games. I know the Fulham was perhaps not the best game, but I thought we were in all 3 games.
I think if I break down all 3 games individually, the first 2 games, the first game against Tottenham was frustrating because it shouldn't take 45 minutes to go up against someone and show some teeth, hunger, desire, the basic things of any football team you got to do. The same with Fulham. It took us a long time to get going. I know we went in at half-time 1-1. Me and Locks did the watch-along with that again, but the frustrations were the same. Why is it taking so long to start to get going in games? It can't take this long in the Premier League. But Saturday was different for me. I really felt the first 15, 20 minutes, we were in that game. We were fighting for everything. We were showing aggression, something that we hadn't shown. Yes, I understand lots of frustration with the 3 defensive midfielders. You didn't get that myself either against any team, especially at home. I understand he's trying to stop them coming through the middle of the park. They'd like to play through the middle of the park, then go wide too quickly. But he's tried something, it hasn't worked. Again, I'd like to see him thing change quicker though. You know, it took for a goal to go in before he changed something. And like, especially at the weekend, look, we're not getting hammered. If I'd be more annoyed if I was a Southampton fan, an Everton fan, I'd be more worried than I am. Yeah, I'd be more worried because I'm looking at those games and think when Everton were 2-0 up at the weekend and blew a 2-0 lead in the last, 8 minutes, you know, Southampton are still trying to play their tippy-tappy football out the back, getting spanked by Brentford because they tried to play it again. You know, signing Amarandale does not save goals going in when you try and play out from the back. We aren't playing out from the back as half as much as we did last year. You know, that's gone. But we're being competitive in games, you know, but we've got to do it from the start. I think the frustration for me with the Villa game will be two things. One, both goals were avoidable. Free kick or no free kick for the first one, it's still avoidable. We still have to be better set up. It's such a simple ball by Tielemans to roll it down the line, and for then Rodgers then to play it back across, or no, Ramsey played it back across the box. They had two players in the box to our four. The problem was we went so negative to get on the line to make sure we had players on the line. No one was on the 6-yard box where the ball got played into. It's a simple tap in. The second goal, again, so avoidable. You know, a ball goes across the box, goes back out wide, a little 1-2, and they're in again. Another ball in. And sadly, you know, Ockley has pushed his man for some reason. Instead of actually staying with his man and jumping with him, he gives him a little nudge. Then he's too far away to make the challenge. But again, look, it's a great header. Let's not take it away. It was a great header to put that ball where he put it. But again, both the goals are avoidable, but we're still in the game. You know, we get a goal back at the weekend. It didn't look like it was going to happen, but we get a bit of luck. We get a goal. We're still within a fighting chance. And then it's just a case of time's run out. But again, I agree. Rodgers has got to stop, you know, look at games now and think, right, how do I
Freudian slip there, Tom. Freudian slip. You just said Rodgers.
Sorry.
You mean Cooper?
Cooper's got to look at games and think, how do I change it before it starts? You know, I think we've seen the difference. Mavididi, left-hand side, he made things happen. You know, I'm not being funny, but we haven't played anyone on the left-hand side this season that's made anything happen. Ayew is not a left side winger. He's not going to do that. He scored a good goal against Tranmere, but he's not a winger. You know, you're playing players out of position. You know, let's not get wrong. Abdul hasn't really shown anything so far in the 3 games to like say he should be starting on the right. You know, he's had to work players out before he's gone at it. That's just an age thing, though. He's having to work things out. The Championship, he didn't need to because he had his pace and he knew that he could run past players. Premier League, you can't. Players are too good to just knock the ball past them. Lloyd Dyer would have been able to just knock a ball past player and get it in the box. You've got to be more clever in the Premier League. For me, starting these next games, Palace and Everton, these are crucial to our season to me. Palace might finish 10th, but they're not started this well. They've sold 2 of their best players. They've loaned one of their other strikers to us. You know, that game is massive. And then the Everton game, let's not sit it down. It's a 6-pointer before we even start. That is a 6-pointer, these next 2 games to me. If you want to be keeping up with the pack, you've got to be winning the next 2, and he's got to go from the start with a not a stupid attacking lineup, but I think the double pivot at Winks and Skip worked at the weekend. I like the look of that little pivot between the 2 of them. They know where each other was going to be. They're both brawlers. They'll both give 110%. They both can move the ball well. The Ndidi playing in that 10 role does not work. I'm sorry, he doesn't. You can't play him there. He's not got the ability to knock the ball around. The amount of times this season, and especially in the Tottenham and the Fulham game, what me and Locks did, and Didi's lost the ball, and Didi's lost the ball. He's won the ball back. He's lost the ball trying to play with it. I like Ndidi's done a lot for us, and I think bringing him on with 20 minutes to go when you're 2-1 up and putting him in front of the back 4, that's what he's going to be used for this season, what I think you should be using him for, not putting him in being a box-to-box midfielder because he just hasn't got the vision in there. He's a bit of a headless chicken when he comes to that point of view. He'll win the ball back, but then he'll lose it again. What did O'Neill say to Savage? Well, don't give him the ball. And it is the same for Ndidi. You give him the ball and you're panicking, we're going to lose it before you start. Last season, he was all right because he was playing as an 8 and he didn't come back as far. He wasn't being told to run back as far and get involved. He was just playing as that number 8 and getting in and around the box where he needed to. So he hadn't got to do all the other bit, like the leggy work. Problem is now I think he's knackered halfway through the game and he just can't figure out what he needs to do next for me.
But I think, Locks, I think that's why I'm not. Listen, I'm not here going I'm amazingly positive, but I see signs of us. My biggest thing is in all three games we've been competitive and we've not been, like Tom says, we've not been like completely ousted in it. And Villa, right up to the dying moments of injury time, we were scrapping around and fighting for a point. And again, Cooper maybe just should have made that change around the 58th minute mark. We went, right, you're 1-0 down. You've got to bring on the creative side to make it work. He just left it for like 3 or 4 minutes more, and Villa had 60 seconds of one-touch football around the box locks that made all the difference. And but I see signs of positivity in there from plenty of players, and I think Cooper has got to work it out. He is new in. He's got quite a few new players. I think we've got 7 new players. He probably hasn't sussed out the best team as yet, Locks.
But how do we? We know. We kind of know the best team. Why doesn't he?
Well, go on then. I mean, I think he did set up a little too defensive on Saturday, but that was his aim, was to defend against a good Champions League qualifying Villa side. So he may be having Ndidi and Skip in seemed a bit too much, especially when Harry Winks himself is quite defensive as well. It did feel like one too many in there.
Well, did you notice how the midfield was the same as the Tranmere game? So it was kind of like the Tranmere game was like a dress rehearsal for the Villa game, by the way, which is ridiculous because you can't judge anything about the Tranmere game going into a Villa game. You can't, because it's a goal thing past, mate, right? But one thing, right, not just you, but others as well, I feel like there's a slight contradiction because people are saying where we can't expect to be beating these teams, and they finished 5th and Palace finished 10th and Fulham are a good side, but then you're also on the other hand saying, yeah, we competed with these teams for 90 minutes. So my point is that, well, if we are able to compete with them, why don't you just try and go that extra level, that next step, and actually attack them a bit earlier on? Don't wait until you go 1-0 down. I think Cooper told us in his interview when he joined the club that he watched every game from last season. So if that is the case, then where is Ricardo Pereira and where is Steffi Mavididi? I understand.
Well, listen, I'll tell you where Mavididi is. I'll tell you where Mavididi is or isn't against Villa is Jordan Ayew. And again, I've had a big debate with Reedy about this, but we sit in the family stand, so we saw quite a lot of him in that first half. Certainly in that first half, Jordan Ayew was battling back and winning balls back around the middle of the pitch. And I don't remember seeing Mavididi do that often, even in the Championship. Yep. So
I agree.
He was obviously told, you're out there, but your number one job is to stop them coming down that side and breaking the game up. And I would think, Locks, that's what Cooper said to all of them is, lads, this is a bloody good team. So our number one thing is try to stop them scoring because they're a good lad.
So you want 3, like Cooper wants 3 defensive midfielders. He wants Justin a right back because he defends better maybe than Ricardo. You want Ayew instead of Mavididi because he defends better. This is what I mean, mate. You're saying that you don't see Mavididi tracking back. Tell me when you saw Jordan Ayew do a bloody step over, get it in the box and create a goal. You won't see that, in the Villa game. You didn't see it in the Villa game. You cannot leave out your best player as a football manager.
Who's the best player? You say Mavididi is the best player.
What, between him and Ayew?
Well, no, you've just said you can't leave out your best player.
I'm players. Thinking... You can't leave out your best players, right? I understand that it's tactical. James Justin's there because he comes inside a bit. He probably suits that role better than Ricardo Pereira. Mavididi, obviously, we've seen on that left side the player kind of come inside a bit. But surely, you said this about Enzo, by the way, mate, last season. Surely your job as a manager is to actually create a system to suit your best players, rather than try and squeeze players in here and there. You said that about Enzo, and everyone did. I
agree, and Locks, but I'm going to push this back to Tom. I do agree, and Locks, I hear exactly what you're saying. I think Cooper, Tom, is still working it out. He's going to have to work it out very, very quickly. We signed a player on Friday. We signed a player on Thursday. We've only had Skip in the squad for 14 days or something. He has got to work it out. A lot of these signings were quite last minute in the transfer window.
I couldn't see in pre-season how we were trying to play. I didn't see any identity in the way we were playing all pre-season. I didn't see identity.
Have the players.
No, I didn't see
But he's
identity
not played
against
the
Tottenham.
players. He left Bilal on the bench and Facundo on the bench.
But I understand what Locks is. I understand both sides of it, boys. I'll sit in the middle and be voices of reason. I understand everyone's frustration. I was frustrated when we got Cooper in the first place. You know, he wasn't my first choice, Phil. My first choice, I would have gone with David Moyes. At least he is someone who got a lot of Premiership experience at the start. No, exactly. We don't know. But you know what I mean? At least he's got Premier experience. Cooper's a Mick and he wants it. And like I said in the video, we'll give him a go. And I'll give every manager who comes here the first 10, 15 games to see what they can do. He's had 3 now. The first 2 were very ummy-ari, especially Tottenham, because I still couldn't work out what we were trying to do. Yesterday was the first time I could start to see some kind of identity, what he was trying to do with the way we were playing. There was time to play from the back. There was time to get the ball wide quickly, get it to Abdul, get it to Jordan Ayew. Promised Jordan Ayew was so deep he couldn't get into the areas he wanted to do. Abdul was sadly the first half not beating his man quick enough. When he did beat his man, he got taken out twice. How the left back didn't get booked quicker, I don't know, because he should have been booked straight away. He took Eye out twice because he knew he'd done him. I think Cooper's still working, and I think these 2 weeks now with the players he's got available who haven't gone on international duty, it is really time for Cooper to up his game, because if we were to lose the next 2, a lot of question marks will be ready. And people will say, how can you really question after 5 games? The Premier League is 38 games. It runs out very quickly. You can get left behind very quickly. We saw that with Nigel Pearson in the Great Escape season. We got left well behind before Christmas. Everyone said we were down. We're dead and buried, and that's it. Leicester are going back. We turned it around. We won, 7 of the last 8 games or something like that to stay up. We've got to do things quicker. And for me, Cooper now has got to stop being so defensive-minded. Like you say, 3 defensive midfielders at home. Fans are going to be already frustrated before you kick a ball. They'll back you. And I said it, the fans will back him if they play like they did on Saturday. But you've got to get your tactics into this team now quickly, because if not, like I said, we'll get left behind and we'll be down there with Everton and Southampton. And the likes of Ipswich and the likes of other teams will pick up points. Ipswich are not going to not pick up points this season. Everyone keeps thinking they're dead and buried for the start. But they've got a way of playing. They haven't changed how they played. Problem is, Southampton have got a way of playing, and it's reckless in this division. We've seen that. Southampton, Ipswich had a couple of poor results, but they got a point at the weekend against Fulham. We lost to Fulham. And I know they're at home, but still, that is still a good point. A point away at Fulham would have been a good result. 2 points we could have been on 2 points now. But again, both goals. I'd say every goal we've conceded this year has been poor for me and all avoidable. The goal against Tottenham, it's a ball into the box, but nobody tracks the right back. It's the right back. The 2 goals against Fulham, they're balls over our right back, their left-hand side. But the problem is, as we saw, Abdul didn't track anyone back for the first goal. And, Smith Rowe gets into the box because we've been overrun by everybody. And the second goal, Justin's pulled himself out of position, chasing the ball down, and then just knock it over the top, straight in behind again. Every goal we conceded is, for me, they are all avoidable in the Premier League if you want to stay up. So, look, he's got a lot to work on in the next 14 days before we play
It's a big learning curve. It's a massive learning curve. JJ asked us this question, Locks, and we'll all answer it. He says, I've got a question for all of you. If we lose against Everton and Palace and then the next 4 to 5 games more, what will you all be saying? And I just want to say the fixtures that we obviously have. We've got coming up is Palace away. Then we've got Everton at home, which, like we've said, is massive. And then we've got Arsenal away, which is going to be incredibly tough. Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Forest at home, Ipswich away, Locks. I think that gets us through to Man United away on the 9th of November. I think by the 2nd of November, we will, like Tom says, that's 10 games in. That's over a quarter of the season gone. Listen, I'm here to back Cooper all the way through until a certain point, and I hope he gets it right, Locks.
I mean, if we don't get, if we were to lose to Palace, the start of that question, if we were to lose to Palace and Everton, I would be saying it. I would be, because Everton, Tom hit the nail on the head. We all know it. Everton, you have to beat them. You have to. And we're talking about the likes of Ipswich and Southampton also having weak squads. We've got to remember, they're looking at the Leicester game and saying the same thing as we are. You have to beat them to stay up in the Premier League. So I just think if we were to lose against Palace and Everton, mate, I mean, you know, I'm praising the commitment from the players and the effort levels from the players and all of this, but at some point, mate, even they're going to be like, what's the point? You know, you'd hope not, but you know, you never know. And I just think, again, I saw a comment earlier on, if we keep going into games like, well, these are a good team, you know, we can't expect to win. If that's the mindset going into these games, what is the point in showing up? Because if we lose, sections of the fan base will be like, well, we should have expected to lose anyway because we're not very good. But it's like, what's the point of showing up? What is the point of showing up in the Premier League?
Tom, if we play like we did against Villa in particular, if we take that form, albeit not quite right yet by a long way, but if we take that level of like commitment into Palace away, there's every chance of picking up some points, and certainly against Everton at home, that you know that. I want you to think about some of the positives that I was seeing in that. Akole, the defender at the back, for me, he was man of the match. I thought he had a really, really good game and looks like the best central defender we've had in a little while down there. I know it was only one game, but I thought he was over the pitch. He made the right tackles. I looked big and strong lad. I thought Skip had a really good game. I think, you know, the attacking lads, when they came on, made an impact as well. I thought Mavididi looked quite good when he came on as well. You know, I think there's quite a lot of positivity to take from the first three games, albeit it's not quite right yet.
I was about to say, out there, next 7 games, I think you've got to be looking at targeting points-wise between 10 to 12. That's my opinion going to the games. Also, you got Walsall in the cup sandwiching between the Palace and the Everton game as well that week. But yeah, I mean, for those games you've got coming up, I'd say you've got to be looking at 10 to 12 points. That would put us 13 points if we got the max amount of that bit. Positives, Kole, yes, he was man of the match. Do I feel that his partner next to him will help fills me with confidence in the Premier League? No, I don't. And for me, if I'm honest, I truly believe put Connor Cody in at that back and you get a bit more stable back line. The experience of Cody from the Premier League helps Ockley out more because the goal went in and the first thing Wout Faz did was chucked his arms in the air like a baby and had a go at Ockley. That's not helping him. You just blame him for the goal going in because he's far away from him. Cody would be putting his arm around him and say, right, mate, you've got to be on him. You've got to go with him. You've got to jump. You've got to stay with him, man. He probably knows it, but someone of Cody's experience gels that team a little bit together with me. Winks, I said it earlier, Winks and Skip is the midfield two for me. That is your pivot. That is your double pivot. Has to be how you play through the team. You then has to put one of the kids in front of him. Benotti, we've seen what he can do. You know, there's enough potential in there. I'm not going to pronounce the other lad's name. Locks, tell me how to say it.
Buonanotte.
And who's the other lad?
Is that who you're on about? Oh, El Knuth.
El Knuth. Again, we haven't seen enough of it. I look what I saw El Knuth again. He looks a tiny little player. He's not scared of picking the ball up in tight little areas. He'll quite happy have the ball turn and pass it. 2 young players that, for me, really could be the heartbeat of this team if they wanted to be, but between them, you don't play both at the same time because you can't have too many kids in that team. But you've got an option there to bring one on and one starts, one's off. You know what I mean? Between them two, they should be the number 10s. So if you start one week and he has a good game, you keep him. The other one then comes on with 20 minutes to go. Unless you're like 2-1 up, then there's the opportunity to bring on Ndidi and stick him in the back line with Winks. But you take off Skip and you put maybe another forward in there to like hold the ball up more. That's what Edwards will bring. He'll be able to hold the ball up more. That's something we've missed. Someone to hold the ball up when we're trying to defend leads will be crucial this season. There is potential in this team. I don't think it's one of the worst 3 squads to go down. I truly believe we have enough in that team to stay in the Premier League. The problem at the moment, Cooper has said from the start, and this is Cooper's problem, we need to be Premier League ready. And at the moment in time, from the performances and the way we're playing and the identity, we don't look Premier League ready. That's my biggest concern.
He told us
I think
we've got Premier League ready.
Yeah, I think we've got the quality and we've got the squad ability to stay in this league and be in the top. You know, I said I'll take a 17th on the season. I would take 17th, 16th. You take that. But we've got to start doing it on the pitch. And like you say, the next 7 games, you know, that 10-game mark is crucial. And for me, if you've got to come away with 10 to 12 points to have any, you know, say of trying to be in this league at the end of the season, because if you were to start losing games constantly, mate, We've seen it before. How long does it take to turn the run around? Once the rot starts, you're losing games. It becomes a habit. To turn it round is a different kettle of fish. And we saw at Forest, it took, them so many games at the beginning of the season before they got the first win, and they only just stayed up in their first season. He's got to get this win soon. And for me, if you go to Palace, you get a point. Brilliant. If you get the Everton then game has to be a win. You can't then come out the Everton game with 2 points. That's not going to keep you in the Premier League, mate, sadly.
Yeah, a couple of comments in here. Honestly, no good coach wanted the job. We didn't have a lot of options. And that's just the truth. John O'Towers asks a question here, Locks, about Ricardo. What has he done not to get picked? I think, again, being honest, my take on it, Jono, is that Cooper is going for as solid as he can be to try and stop goals coming in to start with. And that's why he's gone Christensen and he's gone for James Justin. Just a little bit more solid. That's his opinion, Locks.
Yeah, it's the same all across the pitch. He wants defensive players over attacking players. Simple as that. That's it.
Yeah. But Jamie says here, would Defo take the 17th? Mark, I know this is my take. I know it's going to keep coming up, but if we keep talking about the points deduction, we're never going to know where we're at. And Tom, the points deduction, the things I've been hearing, by the way, is that actually we may not even get a points deduction because the club are fighting it all the way. They feel they've got a loophole. So that is what I'm being told. They're obviously are genuinely taking it as far as they can legally, and they feel they're not going to get a points deduction, which is why it's gone quiet, because they believe they've got something.
If we don't get a points deduction, brilliant, fair play. The club has done amazing, but let's not forget we should never got ourselves in a position that cost us to be considered in points deduction, because we all know the rules are there before we set out. The biggest thing for me is, though, we can't work off the fact we might not get one because we just don't know. For me, that's the target for Leicester this season. It's got to be 55 points minimum. You can't, because if we turn around and go, right, 40 points, boys, 40 points, and then they go, right, 4 games for the end of the season, you're losing 10. But back to 30, you've got to get that. You've got to be targeting 55 points to make sure, because if they're saying, well, if it's rumours to be true, it's anywhere from 7 to, well, between 7 and 14, they've said that could be the points deduction. Who knows? We do not know, but I wish they'd just make the mind up before the season starts. I don't agree that you can go through, like, I didn't agree with Everton. I didn't agree with them getting points taken off in the season. It's not fair on the players to then have to look at the table and go, right, we've got to do more again now. You've got to set your principle. You go into the season, that is your points deduction. We're not going to do any more. If you've broken the rules during the season, it happens on the next season. That should be the end of it. And if that means you go into the championship and then you get a points deduction, that should happen. I'm sorry, this whole, well, they're in the championship now, we can't penalise them. It's a load of bollocks for me. Penalise the club before the season starts.
Sorry, yeah. Mate. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Just to add to that, Krishna, Phil, put it in the comments earlier up. The club broke the rules. They're living in cuckoo land, mate. And they are living in cuckoo land. And we've seen this with the club so many times. The year we got relegated, we were told that the club were nice and calm and they weren't worried about relegation. I spoke to Rob Tanner a couple of weeks ago and he said, the club are calm. They don't, they're happy with the transfer window. There's no worry. Mate, they live in another world half the time. This club do. The people upstairs, mate, it's absolutely nuts. We broke the rules, right? If there's a loophole they think they're going to get out of it on, honestly, mate, it's cuckoo land. It really is. Yeah, they might get a points deduction and then appeal that so it's less. But we're going to get a deduction.
But the reality is, guys, it doesn't matter. It does matter, of course, but it almost doesn't matter what the points deduction is, because nobody's going in. The aim for any team at the start of the season is to win as many games as you can and get as many points as you can, because you never know where you're going to go. You can't sit there and go, well, we know we need 34 points, 35 points to just stay up, and we know we're probably going to get a 10-point deduction, so therefore we've got to go for 44. They'll be out there going, we want to win as many points as we can every single week of the season. We'd rather have a 60-point game. We're not playing like that, Phil.
We're not playing like that, Phil, though. We're playing like, we're just going to try and nick it late on. We can't play like that. We can't. That's not going to keep us up.
Well, how do you want to play, Locks? Just gung-ho?
Would you rather get relegated being close in games and setting up defensively every week? Or would you rather actually go out there, give it a good go? If you get beat 3-2 or 4-2, But you've had everyone moaned at last season, mate, that the football wasn't entertaining. I was going to say what they're saying this year, but for some reason they're saying it's better. How is it better?
Do you know why, Locks? Because we've got from my point of view, Tom, it's exciting within the ground for whatever reason. We are having a go. We had 10 shots on Saturday, and Cooper, when he realises he's getting it wrong, and he did get it wrong, he changes it. Not like Enzo, who just doesn't matter what the score is. He plays one way. Cooper reacts. He hasn't got it right yet, Tom, but he is actually reacting and he is managing.
But that's the point. He hasn't got it right. He hasn't got it right yet.
Locks, you, me, or Tom could have managed Leicester City in the Championship last season. One of 20 managers could have done it. Honestly, I'm being facetious when I say us three.
Southampton finished 4th.
Yeah, they didn't have as good a team as us.
Mate, come on. I think it's just...
Get over your Enzo ball. It's gone. Your beautiful Enzo, Locks. Your beautiful Enzo did one of these to us all, and he went, "See, I'm off."
But so it's the contradiction. But it's the contradiction.
What's the contradiction?
That people moaned that the football wasn't exciting, but now they're happy with three defensive midfielders. But we wanted to chase Claude Puel out of Leicester with pitchforks when he did it.
Look, Tom, we're playing a team who finished 4th and are in the Champions League. We're not playing Rotherham at home anymore. It's tough. You've got to have some sort of defensive game plan against better teams.
Look, firstly, I loved Enzo. I'm not going to criticise Enzo because the style of football, I could see some fans got it, some fans didn't get it, some found it boring, some fans who tried to understand the way football is going, very ticky-tacky, will understand what Enzo is doing because that's the way football is going to. We've now gone from a manager who was all about possession, using it, making things, you listen to the players, they didn't not enjoy what they were doing on Enzo. If you listen to all the players, Wink said it all. He rated Enzo better than Jose Mourinho. This manager wasn't any clue. I agree with you. He did give Zaviz and he did cut off to Chelsea, and that does hurt a little bit. But also, does it not make you believe that he asked the question of what players he could go and sign, and the players have gone, the club's gone, well, you ain't going to get any of them. And he went, well, what's the point of getting promoted? What is the point? So I can see it from both sides. Enzo did get a go and say, this is what we're going to need to stay in the Premier League, but you're not going to get that. So he went, well, I'm off then, boys. If someone comes in, I'll go. If you're not going to back me, how am I meant to do my job? Where Cooper, on the other hand, he needed a job. Of course, he was happy to come to Leicester. It was a Premier League job. He'd just been sacked from someone in the Premier League. Look, it's having a go bashing Cooper because I'll back any manager, and you know that, Phil. I'll back everyone. I backed Claude Puel till he got sacked after the Palace game because I believe he was the one who started the vision of how we started playing football, playing it from the back, passing it around, brought in some terrific football players. Roger then took us to the next level on that until the point where he got stale and sour. The thing is now, you've got a manager who's got players. He's now got at his dispense. He's got 2 weeks' work of them. You can't go into the next couple of games playing 3 defensive midfielders, mate. That side of it has to disappear because if you do, you won't win football matches. And that's the biggest thing now. He's had the first 3 games. He'll say, and he's had the excuse, I've not had the players. The other 2 young lads have not had time really enough to in around that squad to say we're going to start against Villa.
Yeah.
He can't say that now against Crystal Palace because it won't wash with the fans. So
yeah, I agree. Mark says there a couple of wins. Cooper will be the best thing since sliced bread. Richie says Steve Cooper is our manager, not Rodgers, not Puel. Joe says a big one here. I can't read it all, but it's in there in the comments.
Joe's saying that I was never behind Cooper. Well, yeah, of course I wasn't, because when he was appointed, I expected what is happening now. Like I literally, what I said in pre-season, mate, is what is happening right now. Like,
we're only 3 games in. 3
if
games.
If he goes and wins 5, I will come on your show, mate, and say I was wrong and he's good enough to be manager of this football club. But at Forest, I didn't see anything to suggest that he was good enough to manage in the Premier League.
Well, he kept them up.
People by 2 points, and it's because Southampton and Leeds were so terrible, right? But like I said, if he wins 5 games or if he keeps us up in 17th at the end of the season, I'll come on your show and I'll say it was the right decision to get him. But so far, everything I predicted has happened. I said it would be defensive. It would be boring. He's not going to be pragmatic or proactive like I was told he was going to be. He's reactive. And Forest fans told me this. And for some reason, some Leicester fans only listened to the Forest fans who talked big about him in the Championship, because he was good in the Championship. In the Premier League, he was crap.
Mark says here, if Cooper keeps us up, lots will be kissing Cooper's arse. We played 3 games. Cooper, get right. We played in well to home match. I don't quite understand Martin's comments there. Locks answered his own question. Forest stayed up.
Yeah, and Enzo got Leicester promoted, and he's terrible. So
I never said he was terrible. I said
Jamie did. Jamie doesn't like him.
I don't like Enzo. He had the most. We've been through Enzo. He had the most.
I know.
Most highly paid team in the Championship ever. The most highly expensive team in the Championship. He darn well should have got us promoted, and he nearly cocked it up because of his stubbornness. Anyway,
Leeds didn't go up.
He got us up. Thank you, Enzo. I will thank him for that. But he then left us. So. Listen, guys, it's a good debate. I still shocked that after 3 games and what I class as 3 okay performances, Locks is determined before the season. Now, after 3 games, is loving the fact that we didn't get more points.
I'm not loving the fact. I'm not. No, I'm not, because I would rather us stay up in the Premier League, and I would rather Steve Cooper wins Manager of the Season by having a great season with Leicester. But it's not going to happen. In my opinion. And as I said, I've been impressed with the players this year, but I have not been impressed with Cooper. And I think that Cooper has actually cost us 4 points this season already.
Okay, listen, lads, we've overrun because the debate could go on. He's got 2 weeks. We'll see. We'll probably carry this on next Monday, okay, and see if we can get into that. It's going to be a big one. Thanks as ever, Locks, for coming on, and Tom. It's great to have the fan chat. That is what Leicester Fan TV has always been about, is people having a good old chat. We say stuff because we're passionate and we don't always agree. But at the end of it, I think we can always agree that we all like Leicester and love Leicester and want them to do all right. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
In your shed, in your Fox's Den shed. We'll see you soon, Tom.
Cheers, mate.
We'll let Tom go. It's like, I think his internet's gone Buffy in there. Locks, thanks a lot for the debate. I think we got somewhere with all that. I think we'll agree to disagree at this stage.
That's it, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's just how it is. Yeah, we'll agree to disagree. And we agreed to disagree. Well, we disagreed last season as well, until the later stages when I said that Enzo was terrible. I mean, we fell apart, didn't we, in February? So last season, I ended up agreeing with you that Enzo had his flaws. And this season, I'm sure you'll end up agreeing with me. Okay.
Yes. I hope I don't, because I hope he gets it right. I really hope he gets it right. But it is that the odds are massively not in our favour at the moment. But I think some of those signings, Locks, might just pay off. We need them to. We've had some very 50-50 signings over the past 3 or 4 years. We really need 3 or 4 out of those 7 to really come off, don't we? One of those young lads, the creative midfielders, we need one of them to suddenly go, wow, we just found the next little superstar.
Well, they are his signings because he worked with Skip. He worked with Ayew before, right? He was after like Nelson and a couple others who he'd worked for. So clearly these are his signings. Again, I want him to show me that he's good enough, or I want him to encourage me, because so far, the thing we haven't really spoken about, we don't need to speak about it, but the thing that has annoyed me the most is that in pre-season he kept talking about not having creativity and having to play Mavididi as a 10 and things like this. And the game he's got for Facundo Buonanotte and Bilal El Khanous on, he benches them and he doesn't start them, and it's like, wow. So yeah, like I said, I hope he proves me wrong. And
I mean, Locks, don't get me wrong. I think Saturday he did get it wrong. He started with just too many defensive players in there. I think that was his mistake. I think he shouldn't have started with Ndidi, because I think Skip looks a better player. I do question, Locks, why on earth have we signed Ndidi before and then go and sign Skip because Skip looks better.
Because it's depth,
backup,
isn't it?
Yeah, depth. I get that.
And as far as I'm aware, we put the offer on the table for Ndidi, and then he went and had a little flirt with a couple clubs.
Yeah.
They didn't really want to pay him the wages, so he came back to us. So, yeah. Ndidi is a more than capable player, Premier League player.
Yeah.
Premier League player, I still think he could start games as a 6. I'd rather Skip, but he could start there. But as an attacking midfielder, nah, not a chance.
No, well, no, I agree. He shouldn't have been doing it last year. He wasn't that good in the Championship when he was doing it against the Rotherhams and QPR. So why do we think he's going to do it against Villa? I just think maybe. Well, I don't know. He should have started Buenate or whatever his name is. Have I said that right?
Buenanotte, yeah. But I'll tell you what, though, mate. The thing I'm enjoying with this conversation is at least you're admitting that he makes mistakes, whereas Find My Peace in the chat seems to have, he says no complaints, which I find baffling. I don't know how there's no complaints. I think there have been errors.
Well, it's definitely not right yet. It's definitely not right yet. I mean, Locks, it's not right that on Saturday we had to play Jamie Vardy for the whole game because we didn't have a striker on the bench. But
and we won't even have Edouard for Palace.
No, but we have at least signed one. So, it's a bit of circumstances. Daka getting injured, but we probably wouldn't notice any difference.
Well, it's a conversation for another day. And maybe I could speak about it on my show on Thursday, but I think Edouard actually starts over Vardy when he comes into the team.
Well, his goal ratio is all right, isn't it? I think he's got 23 goals in 90 games, which, for a striker in the Premier League is a decent-ish return for somebody outside the top 6. But listen, Locks, that's a good shout. You are back live on Thursday. What time?
6:30 on Thursday.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to what you've got to say on Thursday at 6:30. And honestly, it is good to have the debate. I do hear what you're saying about he set up a little bit negative. He probably did. He's got to learn, and he's got to learn super quick because we haven't got many games before it's not working. So anyway, listen, Locks, thanks for joining us. I'll let you go. We've well overrun, but thank you, Locks.
Yeah, lovely. Cheers, mate. The viewers love the longer shows. So there we go.
Get out. All right, see you later. Listen, thanks to Locks, thanks for Tom, thanks for all your views, your comments. Let's get a few last ones in here. Jono says, I think Cooper is learning in there. Finding My Peace says, Locks is too negative after a few games. We are in a relegation battle. We are on course for that to happen. No complaints from me. Still many games left. 1 point out of 3 games is too worrying for me. I understand that. We've had superstars and gave them away, says Michael E in there. Jono says, agreed, Edouard starts for me, Vardy as a super sub. And Richie says, LCFC will be okay. Let's hope so, Richie. Legit says, Locks, don't take this the wrong way. Just think you're a bit of a muppet. That's a bit harsh, mate. Saying we'll go down is silly. This team's shown 3 games we can compete. I feel like I don't agree that Locks is a muppet, much as I don't agree with half his views. I think we did compete in those first 3 games to a certain level. And Cooper hasn't got it right yet. But I think we've now got some of those signings where he's got a chance. But it is fingers crossed that some of them start to, maybe surprise us at how good they are. And we will just see. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for all your views, all your comments. Don't forget, if you do want more extra comment and content, you can go over to the Patreon site. And we've got a signed Harry Winks shirt, as you can see there, which we are going to give away exclusively to any of you who have signed up as a Patreon. It helps us grow, helps us buy a new kit and do all that sort of stuff. So we do appreciate it. We've had quite a few people sign up already. So if you do want to go over there, pop over to Patreon and look for Leicester Fan TV, and we'll be drawing that live on our show on Monday, the last Monday of September. So can't do it without all you guys for watching. Thanks as ever, and we'll see you very, very soon.
For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.